Space bugs. What happens when insects go to space? The vast, endless expanse of space. But did you know that we aren't the only species that has traveled beyond our planet? Earth's smallest creatures have also made the journey to the stars. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of space bugs. Buckle up, because things are about to get creepy and weightless. It all started in 1947, just 2 years after World War II. The United States launched a captured German V-2 rocket into space. Now, you might be thinking, a V-2 rocket? Those were weapons of war, and you'd be right. But after the war, scientists repurposed these rockets for scientific exploration. On board this particular V-2, there weren't any astronauts or satellites. Instead, the rocket carried a colony of fruit flies. Yes, fruit flies. Those tiny insects that you've probably seen buzzing around your kitchen. Why fruit flies, you ask? They're small and easy to care for, even on a rocket ship. More importantly, their genetic makeup is surprisingly similar to humans. About 75% of human disease-causing genes have a counterpart in the fruit fly genome. Plus, they reproduce quickly, making it easy to study multiple generations in a short time. Think about it, in just a few weeks, you can observe changes across several generations of fruit flies. The fruit flies were placed in tiny capsules, designed to protect them during the intense G-forces of launch and re-entry. They were sent soaring upwards, reaching an altitude of 68 miles, well beyond the commonly accepted boundary of space, the Kármán line, at 62 miles. Up there, they experienced a few minutes of weightlessness and exposure to cosmic radiation. And the result? The fruit flies survived the journey, proving that life, even complex life, could endure the harsh environment of space. This wasn't just a win for the fruit flies, it was a giant leap for our understanding of life beyond Earth. This experiment paved the way for future space missions with much larger life forms. Soon, we'd be sending monkeys, dogs, and eventually humans into space. Alright, space explorers, here's a thought. What if alien bugs are watching us and think we're the experiment? Mind blown? Same here. Let us know in the comments. What's your wildest theory about space bugs? And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button before the ants from Alpha Centauri invade. Next up, crickets. In 1973, NASA's Skylab 3 mission took these chirping critters into orbit. Skylab was America's first space station, a marvel of engineering that orbited the Earth over 2,000 times. But amidst the high-tech experiments, there was a small habitat designed for some very unusual astronauts, crickets. The goal of sending crickets to space wasn't just to see if they could survive, it was to see how they would adapt to life without gravity. Crickets are famous for their jumping abilities. On Earth, they use their powerful legs to launch themselves into the air. But how would they fare in the weightless environment of space? Turns out, crickets didn't handle it well. Without gravity to guide their movements, they struggled to jump. Imagine trying to jump on a trampoline that's constantly bouncing you in unpredictable directions. That's what it was like for these crickets in space. They would push off with their legs expecting the familiar pull of gravity, but instead, they would just float aimlessly, often tumbling head over heels. Many became completely disoriented and even panicked. Imagine being used to a world with up and down and suddenly those concepts become meaningless. Some crickets tried to adapt, using their legs to push off surfaces and propel themselves in a specific direction, but even these attempts were clumsy and awkward. It was clear that their earthly instincts were not designed for the freedom of zero gravity. On Earth, crickets rely on gravity to control their jumps. It's a delicate balance of force and timing. The cricket's struggles in space taught us valuable lessons about the importance of gravity for life on Earth. It's easy to take gravity for granted, but it shapes everything around us, from the way we walk to the way animals evolve. From the chirping orchestra of crickets, we move on to the silent weavers of the insect world, silkworms. In 2008, Japan sent these fascinating creatures to space aboard the International Space Station. The ISS is like a giant orbiting laboratory, where astronauts from all over the world conduct experiments in a unique environment, and in 2008, it became a temporary home for a group of silkworms. The question was simple: would they still spin their intricate cocoons without gravity? Silkworms are masters of construction, spinning delicate yet strong silk threads to create protective cocoons around themselves. But would this ancient practice be possible in the weightless environment of space? The answer? Yes, they did, but the results were bizarre. Instead of the neat, symmetrical cocoons they make on Earth, the silkworms' cocoons in space were chaotic and misshapen. Imagine a perfectly rolled cigar compared to one that's been crumpled and twisted. It seems that gravity plays a crucial role in helping silkworms spin those perfect silk homes. On Earth, they use gravity to their advantage, letting the weight of their bodies and the silk guide the spinning process. But in space, without gravity to anchor their movements, they were spinning in all directions, creating cocoons that looked more like abstract art than the architectural marvels we're used to. This experiment provided valuable insights into how gravity affects animal behavior and development. In 2014, ants joined the ranks of space travelers. NASA sent these tiny colonists to the ISS to study how they would navigate and work together in microgravity. Ants live in complex societies, with each ant playing a specific role for the good of the colony. They communicate through pheromones, chemical signals that tell other ants where to find food, warn them of danger, or even lead them to a new home. Ants are known for their incredible teamwork on Earth. They can build intricate nests, transport food over long distances, and even defend their colonies against much larger predators, all by working together in a coordinated manner. But how would this remarkable teamwork translate to the weightless environment of space? Well, it turns out that even ants, with their remarkable ability to adapt, found space to be a bit disorienting. Without gravity, they had trouble finding their footing, literally. Imagine trying to walk on a surface where you have no weight, no friction to keep you grounded. That's what it was like for these ants aboard the ISS. They would crawl along surfaces only to find themselves drifting off, their tiny legs flailing in the air. The ants still tried to work together because that's what ants do. They laid down pheromone trails, hoping to guide their fellow ants to food or new nesting sites, but even their communication seemed disrupted in space. The pheromones, instead of forming neat trails, would dissipate quickly in the microgravity, making it harder for the ants to follow. Their movements were slower and more erratic. Imagine a well-choreographed dance where everyone's a little off-beat. Even in space, it seems teamwork makes the dream work. But gravity certainly helps. The ants' struggles highlighted the importance of gravity for their navigation and communication systems. While most of our spacebug adventures so far have been part of controlled experiments, there's one theory that's much more controversial, much more out there. It involves the red planet, Mars, and the possibility of life, insect life, existing there. Now Mars has always captivated our imaginations. It's the planet next door, and for centuries we've wondered if we're alone in the universe. A scientist, analyzing images taken by the Mars rover, claimed to have spotted insect-like fossils on the Martian surface. These weren't your typical fossilized bones. These were faint impressions in the rock, shapes that resembled the exoskeletons of beetles, with their segmented bodies and delicate antennae. Could there be Martian beetles crawling around the red planet? The very idea sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Some were intrigued, wondering if we'd finally found evidence of extraterrestrial life, even if it was in the form of ancient fossilized insects. Others were highly skeptical, dismissing the images as nothing more than rocks with unusual shapes. The debate raged on, with scientists presenting evidence and counter-evidence, analyzing the images from every angle. The controversy sparked a renewed interest in Mars exploration. If there was even a slight chance that life, even in the form of insects, once existed on Mars, then it meant that life could exist elsewhere in the universe. Most scientists remain unconvinced, leaning towards the explanation that these are just oddly shaped rocks. But the idea of extraterrestrial bugs sparks the imagination. Imagine a whole ecosystem on Mars, with strange and wonderful insects adapted to the harsh Martian environment. If life ever did exist on Mars, insects might be the best survivors. They're incredibly adaptable, able to withstand extreme temperatures, radiation, and even prolonged periods of drought. From fruit flies to crickets, silkworms, ants, and even the possibility of Martian beetles, bugs have proven to be some of Earth's most adaptable creatures. Who knows? One day insects might even be the first colonists on another planet. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy, crawly science right here on Bugged Out Science.